Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Medical device tracking is quickly coming to the forefront at many healthcare facilities, leaving the facility with the daunting task of determining the best method for accomplishing medical device tracking. Therefore, I am here today to formally request permission to research medical device tracking systems that can be implemented successfully in our facility. At this point, you may be wondering why we need medical device tracking in our facilities, what its purpose is, and what it can really do for us. I plan to address all of these questions for you throughout this presentation, as I systematically step through some background information of our facility and current practices, why we really need medical device tracking, as well as how I plan to accomplish the research on this topic. To start off with, I'm going to go through a little background information. As some of you may or may not know, ABC Hospital Association is a network composed of 4 hospitals, 2 of which are located in the same city about 5 miles apart, with 2 outlier hospitals, one approximately 30 miles north, with the other approximately 60 miles south. All of these facilities vary in physical size, patient census levels, and specialties. For example, we have one facility that specializes in cardiac care and dialysis treatments, while another facility is classified as a critical access hospital due to the remote population that it serves. However, what all 4 of these facilities have in common is the need for a medical device tracking system. Our current device tracking system is an equipment database that has all medical devices entered with a specific asset number assigned to them while storing their model and serial numbers. The database also stores the last known location of the device, but the system is only as good as how often it's updated. For instance, a device could start out in the emergency department and then be moved to the ICU, but we won't know that until we go looking for it, sometimes which can be over a year since the last time we saw it. Now, the most important question on many of your minds is why do we really need to track medical devices? There are 4 key reasons for this: patient safety, Joint Commission compliance, preventing lost and stolen equipment, and improving our efficiency with device deployment with the ultimate goal of saving the system money. As we all know, in healthcare, patient safety is of the highest priority, and device tracking can assist with this. This is due to the fact that being able to better track devices involved in adverse events. It may seem simple enough to track these devices. However, if they are contaminated with blood or another body fluid, they are sent to central processing to be sterilized before being sent on to clinical engineering for review. During this time, any number of things could go wrong, such as a miscommunication resulting in the device being sent for redeployment for patient use. Having a tracking system would allow us to find that device and take it out of commission before it reaches another patient. Joint Commission compliance is another key aspect of medical device tracking. Joint Commission is responsible for surveying our facilities to make sure we comply with government regulations and standards in order to receive our Medicare and Medicaid reimbursements. One aspect of these surveys is for Joint Commission to check for medical devices for their routine maintenance, which could be yearly, quarterly, or semi-annually. If a device is mobile, we may struggle to find it, resulting in an overdue device being used on a patient. And if Joint Commission were conducting a survey and were to find this, our quality score would be reduced, which would in turn reduce our Medicare and Medicaid reimbursements. Device tracking can also assist with lost or stolen equipment, because we will have the added capability to track device locations to know where missing devices are located and if somebody is trying to remove that device from the facility. Finally, medical device tracking will also improve our efficiency by redeploying devices that aren't in use, such as infusion pumps. For example, CVICU requires a lot of infusion pumps for patients coming out of surgery to administer their medications. So if they go through all of their stock, they would call central processing to determine if they have any extras. And if they don't have any extras in their stock, they would call and rent pumps. However, if we had a device tracking system, we could have the capability of pulling unused devices, such as infusion pumps in a storage closet in PICU, and redeploying those devices to CVICU rather than renting. Now that I've presented the need for device tracking, I will go through my research design. It will contain 2 key parts: comparative research, and experimental research. The comparative research will look for similarities and differences in different elements, in my specific case, device tracking systems. This will be accomplished by reviewing different case studies and literature reviews regarding the currently available device tracking systems. Another component I would like to do, time and funding permitting, is an experimental portion. This would compare the established database method for tracking with the best tracking system found during the comparative research phase. This will be done in order to determine whether the new device tracking system or the database system is better at tracking devices. Based on the research design on the previous slide, there will be qualitative and quantitative research aspects to this proposal. Qualitative research involves collecting data subjectively through patterns and observations. This will occur during the comparative research phase with the case studies and literature reviews. There will also be a quantitative component which objectively measures and compares data. This will be done in order to compare the financials of the different tracking systems based on the system cost and the cost of the resources needed to implement that solution. Quantitative research would also be used to compare the database tracking system with the tracking system found through research on criteria such as lost or stolen devices, number of routine maintenance inspections performed on time, etc. The research method that I have proposed will include two different research techniques involving secondary data and primary data. Secondary data includes information that's acquired for a purpose other than its original study. And since I will be looking at case studies and literature reviews, for our purpose rather than the author's purpose, this will involve secondary data. There will also be primary data conducted by me during the experimental phase, which will look at whether our current database system or the new proposed tracking system are performing more efficiently in our facility. Some of you may be wondering how the research design I have proposed actually supports the purpose of determining the best medical device tracking systems available for ABC hospital associations. This can be shown by looking at the literature reviews and case studies in the comparative portion and the experimental portion. The literature reviews and case studies would be done to compare the established method for device tracking systems available for purchase, since it would be financially impractical to implement every device tracking system at ABC Hospital Association in order to determine the best method for device tracking. So in this case, secondary data is the ideal choice to narrow down the pool of device tracking systems. But we also need experimental research in order to show what truly works for ABC Hospital Association, rather than what's the best system theoretically. In order to help ensure the research proposal's success, I have outlined a scope for the project in order to ensure that we remain on point and on target to determine the best available device tracking system for us. So in order to do this, I have outlined what's clearly in the scope and what's out of the scope of the project. What would be considered in the scope includes different methods for tracking medical devices currently available, meaning anything that uses future technology would be considered out of the scope. We'll also look at the best method for ABC Hospital Association, since what may be the best method available may not actually work for us due to our size, our resources, etc. Mobile medical devices such as infusion pumps, feeding pumps, and thermometers would be considered in the scope since they would be frequently relocated. We will also consider frequently moved around medical devices such as patient monitors mounted on roll stands, since they're moved but they typically stay in one department. What's considered out of the scope are the current training practices for tracking medical devices by the Central Processing Department. They have their own separate system for deploying the infusion pumps, the feeding pumps, etc. We'll also consider fixed medical devices such as patient monitors mounted on the wall and imaging systems out of the scope. We're also going to eliminate pharmaceuticals, laboratory specimens, and patient wristbands. They have similar applications as medical device tracking, but they're going to be currently listed as out of the scope since they aren't medical devices. At this point, I would like to recap the presentation for you and really hit home why we need a medical device tracking system in our facilities. Medical device tracking is rapidly becoming an essential tool for healthcare facilities to be able to function. It can be used to not only reduce costs from renting devices, but also to improve patient safety and increase Joint Commission scores. In terms of reduced costs, medical device tracking would allow ABC Hospital Association to accurately inventory mobile medical devices along with tracking their locations. Keeping accurate counts of this information will enable us to more effectively deploy assets like infusion pumps without having to resort to renting. Medical device tracking can also improve patient safety by allowing us to rapidly locate mobile medical devices when they're needed most, not only for patient care, but also for routine inspections, which also improves our Joint Commission scores. Based on the information presented in this proposal, I am formally requesting approval to review medical device tracking practices in order to improve patient safety, reduce costs from renting, which also improves our efficiency, and improve Joint Commission scores. Does anyone have any questions? I've also included a list of my references in case any of you would like to do any more research on your own. Thank you.